Howdy folks, today is Friday, April 24th. The time right now is 9:27 p.m. and it's about 8 degrees Celsius, and I'm here just north of the intersection of Yonge and Bloor. As you can tell, we are going for a night walk tonight. I'm still getting the hang of this DJI Pocket 4. And this is the first time, other than that first test video I took it out on a few nights ago, and I recorded a video at night with it. And for this one, I'm going to be heading over to the Church-Wellesley village. I'll be cutting through a couple of linear parks just up ahead here, and then heading east, maybe on Isabella, over to Church Street, and then I'll head south down to probably Carlton Street.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah, no.
I wanted to head out earlier today, but I got tied up working on a few things. So this kind of works out. We get to check out some of the camera's low light performance. I'm not running it in low light mode. There was an article on spacing.ca today about a proposal to pedestrianize part of Church Street in the village. There was another article talking about a motion by City Council to protect and encourage LGBTQ businesses in the area, which have come under pressure from recent developments. So I'll discuss those two issues since it lines up with the area I'm walking through. There's some flashing emergency vehicle lights up ahead. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go one more block south. So rather than cut through two linear parks, we'll only cut through one. It's a little more interesting being on Yonge Street. I'm going to come back and do a Friday or Saturday night walk on Yonge Street after dark at some point in the near future. But this camera should look a little better than the old one in low light. And it is a bit chilly.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. Okay. So I have beer left.
You always want to finish your beer before you leave. We'll save this part of Yonge Street for that future video. Oh, this is Isabella. There's the Artful Dodger, so there's a trio of linear parks that go north-south. Right here I'll be walking through the middle of the three. There's Iwa, a popular Korean bar. And George Hislop Park, that will take you up to Charles Street. And this one is Norman Jewison Park. And there's a third park just south of here that'll take you down to Dundonald Street. Some kind of dance class going on. Whoops, I thought I was in zoom mode. It's a little bit finicky. We can creep right in there. Last Saturday, I did a Saturday night live stream that was pretty late. And I set one up and I was planning to do one tonight. I'm kind of thinking myself out of it right now. I'll probably just go home after this. And I'll do one tomorrow afternoon instead. There's an entrance to Wellesley Station to go through that park. And these are the darkest conditions I've recorded in. Just want to do a little science experiment. I'm going to pause recording for a second and put this thing into low light mode just to compare how that looks. We'll see if that's any better. But the downside to this mode is it runs at 30 frames per second and not the buttery smooth 60 frames per second I normally record at. There is a method where I can interpolate and make fake frames. And it's hard to discern it from the real thing, but it's a little inauthentic. All right, I'm going to flip it back to 4K 60. Well, on the display, that seemed to make quite a difference. As I mentioned, the city has a motion to protect and encourage LGBTQ themed businesses. Well, themed and owned on Church Street through the village. which is roughly from here to the north, or you could say all the way up to Bloor, south down to Carlton. And the way they would do that is by designating the city or this area to be a cultural district. And that way they can implement specific zoning bylaws that favor smaller scale independent businesses. I actually want to cross the street here. There's a park on the other side of the street we'll walk past. Often newer developments and condos favor larger retail storefronts. So when they go up, the smaller, more independent businesses that were previously there have to shut down and they become priced out of the newer spaces. Indian Walk Bar. That sounds interesting. And there's a plan to revitalize this park here, which features an AIDS and HIV memorial. And they want to rebuild or completely redo the memorial, and the current proposal, I think, is going to see it repositioned. There it is in the back. I don't want to get too close in case there's anyone there paying their respects, but there are plans to change that and I think put a fence around it. I think that's being spearheaded by the very unpopular Chris Moyse. I think that serves as a community center for the area. But there's a push to support organizations like the Church-Wellesley Community Land Trust. Their aim, there's a similar organization in Kensington Market, is to take properties that are vulnerable to redevelopment off the market and to protect them and their occupants, including both commercial and residential tenancy.
Oh, really? Yeah.
As well as set up a legacy business registry. That's to provide grants and lease assistance. As well as heritage branding to businesses that have operated in the village for 20 plus years. Is the heart of the village, Church-Wellesley. Wellesley Station is just over there to the west. And some people online were asking, how is this any different from a DEI policy? Well, those usually focus on corporate hiring practices and not land use and community preservation. Sorry, there was someone practically stepping on my heels walking so close to me. I think he was very curious by my camera. I felt him kind of creepily looking over my shoulder. That's really more of a zoning and social infrastructure policy. I looked up some of the lost businesses in the area, or the more notable ones. One includes the Barn, which was a multi-floor club, which was a staple of the area. There was Zelda's Home Cooking, famous for its patio and drag brunches. Pre-app, which was a specialized restaurant, and one called the Alexander Henry. I think there's a drag show going on in there. The Alexander Henry was a long-standing pub. And someone told me some interesting things go on in that second floor over there during a live stream once when I was passing through here. And that article on spacing.ca talked about pedestrianizing this stretch. Sorry. And that would be from about where I came on. I think Dundonald to the north of here. South down to around Alexandra. There's a proposal to temporarily pedestrianize it during the summer. I think that's still on the table right now.
Yeah, this is a nice busy. Yeah, church is busy. Yeah.
It does pedestrianize during the annual Pride Festival, of course. Just letting a few more people pass by. There's Cruisin' Tango across the street. But the plan would be to temporarily close church through traffic between Wellesley and Alexander Street, actually. So I was a little bit off when I said Dundonald.
And I enjoy cooking.
And the goal is, I just looked this up here, to create, I tried to remember it on my way down here, but the goal is to create a more public gathering space, support local businesses, and test the waters for how future street resurfacing designs should look. And proponents argue making it a destination street would improve local businesses, as well as make the street safer. And they cite the gay village in Montreal through St. Catherine Street as a successful project that this could emulate. I think one of the hurdles is the 94 bus that goes along Wellesley. And how you would handle cross streets. I think it's officially called the Church Street Pedestrianization Project. I'll put a link to that article down in the description. If If you're interested in giving it a read rather than me try to paraphrase and regurgitate it. That is something Toronto really lacks. We have Market Street, which temporarily pedestrianizes, which is a block long in the St. Lawrence. There's Pedestrian Sundays in Kensington, which is once a month throughout the summer. Well, late spring to fall. There's Maple Leaf Gardens. There's also a street in Yorkville, Belair Street, that pedestrianizes between Yorkville and Cumberland. All right, that person's ripping posters off the utility poles here.
I mean, I was partying at
Bay Fury, ramen and dumplings. That's pretty much it. For the Church-Wellesley Village. I don't think we're going to see it pedestrianized and turn into a cobblestone street anytime soon. I think Yonge Street from College down to Queen or King would be an excellent candidate, at least during the weekends.
Oh, you saw me through the door. At least when you're sleeping.
One thing I don't like about this camera is it's really finicky switching between zoom and tilting the camera. As we look over at Maple Leaf Gardens. And I'm going to walk along Carlton over to Yonge. That is now the Anatomy Athletic Center. There's Mickey Finn's. That's the first bar I ever had Strongbow in, the cider.
Like, I'm never done.
And it looks like the Blue Jays lost. They couldn't recover from that horrible start by Max Scherzer. That's the Carlton Cinemas across the street.
Is it ending 7-5?
Sounds like they're looking for an Uber. Right, I could go that way. Let's get a little adventurous. Since this video is a bit on the short side, rather than finish at College Station, I'll head down to Dundas Station. Or I guess TMU, as they now want us to call it. This, I believe, is Granby Street. Here, we'll do another test. I'll throw it into low light mode. So in the somewhat well-lit areas, I guess not surprisingly, it doesn't seem to make a huge difference. But in the darker areas like that one, at least according to my display here, that was quite different. Okay, we'll test how it does against this mural. Ooh, that's the first time this gimbal just wandered away from me. All right, I'm going to switch it back. I'll be able to compare the difference once I get home.
That was awesome.
And again.
Oh, you are doing the chaos.
And now it's back to Yonge Street. All right, have light. Will cross, I guess. That used to be home to the Elephant and Castle. They have another location over at Simcoe and King Street. That was an excellent pub. And the Big Slice used to be across the street. What is now a super tall rising. Get a look at the iconic Zanzibar frontage there. Frontage? I think I meant to say facade.
Didn't see them.
It's always lively down in this area. Rolls Royce.
I was like, wow!
Thomas, come here. Thomas, look behind here. You want to see the hand of Jesus and put your finger into his hole. Hallelujah, you are Thomas. Hallelujah to the Lamb of God. Well, Satan is in the house, my sister. Repent and believe. Hallelujah to the Lamb of God.
Sounds like I'm heading to a carnival.
Come here, Thomas. Thomas came. I said, Thomas, look my hand here. Put your finger in here, Thomas. Thomas! You are Thomas, my brother. You don't want to pray.
There's Dundas Square.
I tell you, for the name of Jesus, it's going to be a treat.
Noise bylaws obviously not enforced.
He's going to come and see you.
But since I'm in the land of lights, where I often find myself at the beginning or ending of some of my videos, I'm gonna do some D-log recording and see if I can get some HDR out of this camera. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to your thoughts and comments down below. Let me know what you think about the proposed changes to Church Street, the pedestrianization, and designating it a cultural heritage district. I think both are good ideas if executed properly. If you wish to support what I do, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I've got an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button down below if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and I will catch you in the next one. Yoink! And yes, my lips have dried out horribly. I should have put some lip balm on them. Cheers.